Guys, and welcome to another episode of FPL A+. Today we've got an action-packed show, hopefully quite a brief show, looking forward to game week 28 to game week 31 planning. It's quite an interesting time of the year with lots of chips coming into play, so hopefully this video will help you. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy today's episode. Okay, so firstly, looking back at game week 27, what was supposed to be quite a high-scoring game week didn't really materialize. There was the template team for free hitters that didn't really do the business, and that was mainly due to Manchester City not really scoring much goals, especially not in terms of the two midfielders. As you can see, my team scored 59 points, which was better than the average 40. The only people that really contributed, Southampton had a clean sheet, and then Burnley disappointed in terms of Weghorst, who was expected to actually score in a double game week. So the Burnley players did not really come to the party. Son and Kane, they were quite excellent, so that was a bit of a saving grace to at least score above the average. So in terms of overall rank, moving up steadily, so quite happy with where I'm currently at 53,000. Compared to a few weeks ago, I was over 100,000, so looking quite good. Okay, so that's enough for game week 27. Let's move to the main part of today's show. So firstly, looking at game week 28. So firstly, I think it's quite worthwhile just to have a look at the various fixtures. So if you're looking at game week 28, focusing on where we have double game week players, but also keeping an eye with regards to game week 30. So in my particular case, I don't really have a free hit that I'm playing in game 28 or wild card, and I don't believe it's worthwhile to actually play my second free hit in game week 30. The fixtures are just not appetizing enough, and the teams are playing each other, so they're going to kind of cancel out. So you're not going to get a clean sheet and get high scoring midfielder or forward. That's just not going to happen, right? My view is to try to build up a team to game week 30, but to try to minimize not having too much double game weekers that play in game week 28 and 29 that don't play, but trying to balance it. So it's a bit of a balancing act. And to try to also factor in some hits, but to target key players. So Aston Villa, definitely. I've already got one Aston Villa player currently. Looking at another one. Brentford, definitely not going Brentford. Arsenal, I've got one Arsenal player. For now, I'll keep Arsenal player. Game week 29, I'll consider bringing another player because there's a double game week, even though it's probably quite a tough double game week. Chelsea, Chelsea, I've been contemplating whether Chelsea, who's now got a double game week in game week 28, but they blank in game week 30. If they didn't blank in game week 30, you could have probably doubled up at least on Chelsea if you were not playing any chips. But because there are some other teams that are also blanking, it means that having Chelsea players is also just going to add up to having no players available in game week 30. So I've worked around a possible strategy that you could still feature in a player and then still be fine with a mini hit in game week 30 to field a full 11. Leeds is quite interesting. So Leeds haven't been firing on all cylinders this season. And the coach Bielsa has been relieved of his duties recently with a new coach taking over. So that'll be quite interesting. There is often that new manager bounce that's seen with a new coach or new manager, and it will be quite interesting to see how Leeds fight back. Apparently Bamford was back in training, so he could potentially either feature or he could come off the bench. And I think Bamford with Rafinha is a totally different team structure and much more attacking because he's their focal point. So there is some opportunity there. I wouldn't suggest more than one player from Leeds though. And then let's look at the other Newcastle. So Newcastle have got a double-double. So that's actually quite good. I would rate their first double as quite decent. Their second one is probably much more trickier. So in effect, I'm not that keen on Newcastle. If they were the only team that was doubling, then it might have been a different issue, but I think there are better options. However, if you are going for any fillers or enablers in your team and there's nowhere else that you can go, then Newcastle is not a bad option, but also please keep in mind that they do blank in game week 30. Then looking at Southampton, so Southampton, they double in game week 28, and they've got a decent fixture. Watford in the next one, however, they're also blank. So I would say one Southampton player should be sufficient if you are not free hitting or wildcarding. Spurs, so Spurs would be quite interesting because Spurs have a double in game week 29, so you would want to keep them if you don't have a player from them. Not necessarily, I'd say, a focus to bring them in game week 28, but in the next game week, you definitely would want to. And then looking at some other, and then there's also Wolves. So Wolves have failed to disappoint recently. And in terms of their fixtures, pretty decent. There's probably some clean sheet potential here. Not so sure about the Everton one, but in the Crystal Palace, or at least the Watford match, there's a potential for clean sheet. Jimenez has not been at his best, so you would need to up the ante. He was on the bench in the recent match in midweek, so that might hopefully see him potentially start. There's rumor that he was apparently dropped. So so that'll be quite interesting. But because they have a match in game week 30, you would want to keep onto them at least probably till that point. Okay. And then just some other teams of interest. West Ham. So West Ham, not the best fixtures, so not a bad time if you want to get rid of somebody like Bowen or Antonio, if you still have him. Or the Watford boys, they've got a double. So I'd say keep them up until at least the double, and then you can get rid of them afterwards. Not much to talk about. Norwich, Leicester, not a bad option. Their fixtures look pretty decent. I wouldn't actually go against, if I had the option of punting on Maddison. Vardy's also back. So Maddison's quite a good option. Brighton, not probably. They don't score a ton of goals. I suppose defensively, if you've got a defender, keep them. They can surprise defensively. And then Palace, Crystal Palace, quite tough fixtures, and they've got a blank, so I think it's time for their players to go. Okay, so let's see, what's the plan? So the master plan for game week 28. So firstly, the plan at this stage that I'm considering is, firstly, I have got Olisi, and I'm intending to take him out and bring in Jacob Ramsey. So that gives me another double game weeker. And also Crystal Palace, who haven't got a good run of fixtures, gets rid of that. And then I've got Cancelo, who my only option to get to a Chelsea defender, and Rudiger is the safest of the bet. He is most likely going to start both matches. James would be great, but he's only coming back now, so would be taking a big risk. But the upside is huge, so if you're really willing to take a risk, or if you're on a free hit, then go for it. And then my third transfer is getting rid of Phil Foden and bringing in Rafinha, and that's because if you look at the fixtures, there's a double as well as some good fixtures coming up. So with a new coach, etc., that should hopefully all go quite well, and his price point is also quite good. So 3 transfers, so that'll be a -8, leave a bit of money in the bank. I ideally would have liked to go for Coutinho instead of Ramsey. However, if I go for Coutinho, I can't afford Rudiger. I'm 0.1 short. That is so frustrating. 0.1 short. That would have been probably the ideal 3 moves. But that's how FPL works. You can't get them all. So happy with this. The alternative is I could go for Coutinho and I could go for someone like Thiago Silva, that combination. But then there's a risk of Thiago Silva potentially not playing the second game because there's a European match, Champions League subsequently. Okay, so so that's the plan. A -8 and doublers. Let's just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 doublers. So out of 11 players, that's not quite bad. So if you look at the singles, we've got Ramsdale, Alexander-Arnold, we've got Son, and we've got Salah. So all those players that are playing, they can easily outscore double players. So the single players that are there are definitely quite classy players. And then if you're looking at the bench, Robertson, tricky to actually bench him, but against West Ham, you probably don't want double Liverpool. And then Bowen, he's got a game in game week 30, so keeping him. And then Morpay, will probably get rid of him sometime in the future. Okay, so let's look at the next game week. Okay, so looking at the next game week, we have got 2 transfers. So firstly, the first transfer that we're doing is, and this is more for the structure of the team long term. You'll note we've got rid of Son and we have got rid of Morpay that was on the bench. So Morpay was 6.5. He swaps, Saka goes to that price point, and Saka is quite nailed on, so he's probably one of the better players in the Arsenal team. Arsenal have got a double game week, and then we have taken out Morpay. Instead of so Son was taken out for Saka, and then Morpay went to Kane, and that was funded by the extra cash that we had from the last game week. Okay, so the structure gives us a better option, and Kane has actually started looking much better in recent game weeks, started scoring a bit, not totally there to his full potential, but showing definitely much better signs. So based on this, a -4, it will give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 double game weeks. Double game week players. So we could have gone for another one, but that would then be sacrificing a Chelsea player. And I think Chelsea against Newcastle, that's almost a guaranteed clean sheet, assuming Rudiger plays. And yeah, looking at the bench, so I suppose the only player that we could really potentially reassess is whether Jacob Ramsey should be in place of Sace. If you think that Everton are going to score, then Jacob Ramsey could be the other option that he could move up. Jimenez, I wouldn't. He's not in prolific form, so I wouldn't play him. I'd probably say Jacob Ramsey's probably got a better opportunity. Okay, so that is the plan for game week 29. So that was with a -4, and we've got 0.9 in the bank. So let's go to the next game week. Okay, so now we move to game week 30. Okay, so this is the big game week that we've been building up to. So the transfers that we're making here, we're making 2 transfers. Okay, so firstly, Rudiger is taken out. Okay, and because he doesn't play, we're bringing Tierney. Okay, he's playing against Aston Villa. Then we have got another transfer. We have got, let's just, who did we bring in? Brozier from Southampton, who was taken out. And then we could afford only Daka. So therefore we are actually bringing Daka. He's got a nice fixture against Brentford. And hopefully he's still nailed on because Vardy is back. Ideally, I would like to fit in Maddison. But if you've got Saka, you've got Rafinha, you've got Bowen, you had Ramsey to kind of facilitate the team structure, then it's quite tricky to fit in Maddison. I suppose, just thinking about it, there is another way, but that would mean sacrificing someone like Jimenez, and wouldn't make sense given the fact that he is giving you a fixture. So that would be a bit of a waste of a transfer and taking quite a big risk. So overall, with a -4, you can field a full team for game week 30 as well. And then on the bench, you'll have Robertson, Alexander-Arnold, Salah, and Sanchez. So quite a pretty decent team. The only problem with this game week is that if you just have a look at the fixtures, you'll see it's in terms of Arsenal playing Aston Villa. So we've got players from both teams. Okay, we've got Leeds playing Wolves. We've got players from both teams. Okay, Leicester. Okay, we've got Leicester, a Leicester player, no Brentford player. So that one seems fine. And then we've got Spurs and West Ham. Okay, so there we've got both attackers, so that is fine. We don't have a defender and attacker. But for instance, in Wolves, we've got Sace and we've got Jimenez. So there's a bit of a cancelling out, but it's going to be the same for most people. So it's just if you choose the optimum team, and yeah, it's not about getting necessarily the 100% best team in this week, because there isn't that much of opportunity. As long as you can field a decent team with limited hits, then that should suffice. Okay, because some people might be taking multiple hits or totally not being able to field a full 11. So let's look at the next game week. So this is how do we come out on the other side on game week 31. So looking at game week 31, let's see, what do we end up with? So game week 31, what we do have is we've got another -4. Okay, so now we bring in the high in demand Chelsea defender that should be back hopefully to full speed, Reece James. So Chelsea's fixtures look very good. So Reece James, we bring him in, and we bring in Brozier instead of, what did we have? We had Docker. Okay, so you can see it's a bit of a hokey cokey that we're playing in that position. Okay, so it was Morpay to Dakar to Brozier, so it's whatever, but Brozier is probably someone that you would possibly look at long term. Just looking at Leicester's fixture, who do they play? They play Man United. You could possibly keep Dakar there. Only thing is Brozier gives you a good fixture against Leeds, okay, and helps you fund James. You've only got 0.5 left, so you wouldn't be able to fund it because that's quite a significant difference, 1.7 million, and there isn't much other places that you could fund that 1.7 million without restructuring your team. So quite a good fixture. And then on the bench, you've got Ramsdale, so you could actually play him as well. Probably closer to the time you could see how Sanchez is formed versus Ramsdale. But I'd say Crystal Palace are more attacking than Norwich, so probably Sanchez and at home. And then you've got Digne, pretty decent. You could possibly play Digne over Tierney. Okay. And then there's Jimenez and Ramsey. Okay. Ramsey could also come to the fore, but I suppose you've got a defensively minded Wolves team. So that's how we plan to do the master plan from game week 28 to game week 31. Please let me know in the comments, what do you think about this master plan? Any other suggestions that you have, any other players that you would consider? Please feel free to comment in the comments below. Okay, so let's have a look at the FPL A Plus Super League. So on top of the league, we have Dollable Stern, who is still in first position. Oh, very well done, Dollable, so far. Building up quite a nice lead on top, holding on to that top position. Keep it up. Great going. Second place, we've got Jerking Joel. In third place, we have got Shack Attack United. Fourth place, we've got White Walkers. Fifth place, we've got Jordan Awokani. Sixth place, we've got Nepachan Utip. Seventh place, Sanjay Khatri. Eighth place, we've got Makabena Adira. Ninth place, Daniel Frippong. 10th place, Filippo Di Marzio. So well done, guys, everybody that's actually sort of got into the top 10. If you haven't joined, please join the FPL A Plus Super League. The league code will be included in the description. You can still join us even at this late stage in the season. And yeah, you'll get a shout out whenever we actually reveal our videos. So yeah, so that's it for game week 28 to game week 31. Hope you actually have got a solid team for game week 28. Just make sure that you are planning accordingly. Your team will probably be quite a bit different to mine, but just principally keep in mind the various factors that we discussed. And remember, FPL is a game, so whatever happens, you've got 1 week up, 1 week down. Remember, you've got to enjoy it and have fun while you're doing it. Cheers, everyone.